Today's video is going to be about some airsoft anecdotes, some crazy stories, funny stories, whatever, that have happened to me over the years. I hope you enjoy them and you get a kick out of them. This story is about how I got about my field rules. Last week, there was a group out, and one of the gentlemen that was new to the field, he asked me, he said, "Wow, you got a lot of rules on your field." And it's a small private field on 6.4 acres, so it's not that big. And he said, "Boy, how'd you get all these rules?" So I thought I'd tell you. Back when I started in 2008, my squad leader, who at the time was showing me the airsoft stuff, I had played paintball. He said, "We're going to go to this place down near us, and they know we're there, but the police sometimes come down and tell us not to be there." And there was a couple other fields that you had to travel like 45 minutes to an hour or so to get to, but we had nowhere to play on a regular basis. And I said, "Well, I've got land in the back. How about I just make some, like, a field up for you guys? We can play in there." So I started building structures and stuff like that, and it's got to where it is now, over 12 years. It's going on 14 years. So when we started out, we were doing the normal stuff. You got to wear eye protection of any kind. That was my rule. Eye protection required on the field all times. And I thought, geez, I got to set a limit on the FPS. So let's just say 400 FPS with 2.5s. That was it. Just had to have eye protection and like 400 with 2.5s. Now, at that time, there was people wearing shooting glasses. There was guys wearing like an Oakley clone type thing, and they would slide down or they'd fall off and things like that. And it got to a point where, it was getting dangerous. So I said, that's it. Full seal goggles. They got to be attached to your head. You can wear like a glasses thing that's full seal, but you got to have some retention on them. So that's how that started. And the 400 with 2.5s, I had like an old Exotech chrono, and I just put some 2.5s in the guy's mag. He's shooting. Okay, you're under 400. You're good to go. With the advent of HPA, two members on my team come out and they had Polar Stars, and everybody was telling me, "Wow, they're hurting. Boy, is he shooting hot?" And I chrono him. I'm like, 400. Yeah, he's shooting 400 with 2.5s. I put 2.5s in his mag. He'd shoot. They're 400 with 2.5s. Started reading about joule creep and what's going on. So I'm like, oh, I got to start chrono in joules with the BB weight that they have. So most of the people were shooting 2.5s, 2.8s. You didn't have too many people that were shooting any kind of other weight than that. So they would shoot 2.5s. I'd check them. But the guy that was shooting HPA, the one guy was shooting with 3.0s, the other guy was shooting with 3.2s. So the guy shooting 3.2s was 400 with 2.5, but which would be 1.86 joules. But when I chrono him, he's like 191 when he's shooting with the 3.2s. I'm like, wow, you got to turn that down, buddy. And he kept turning it down. And I trusted him that he wasn't going to turn it back up. And most of the guys did that. So I made a rule that, like, if you have HPA, it's going to be, instead of 186 joules, it's going to be 171 joules. Just to encounter the joule crew, because most of the HPA guys were running 3.0s or higher. One guy was running 3.6s up here with HPA. So I wanted to chrono him with his weight BB at 171. So everybody, that's how that got there. Now, we had some sniper people that wanted to know if they could use a sniper rifle. And I'm like, yeah, that's okay. And I was chronoing those at, 500 with 2.5s, which is like 2.81, I think, something like that. I'd have to look it up. I forget right offhand because we don't have that many snipers now anymore. And the guy that wanted to shoot the one day, his rifle was shooting about 2.6, 2.5, 2.6, you know, with 2.5. So he's under. Yeah, it is 2.81. He's under. So we're in the field and we're playing, and the guy comes up to me and he says, "Hey, he shot me point blank with the rifle." And I said, "What do you mean he shot you point blank? He's got a 100-foot engagement distance." He said, "Yeah, but he started running away and he's pointing the gun backwards and shot at me." And he says, "I was like right on top of him and he hit me with it." So I watched him, and the guy ran away. As he's running, he's holding the rifle out and he's shooting it and running and cocking and holding it back and shooting as he's running away. And these guys are like right on top of him, and he's shooting at him. So I made a rule that as a sniper, you have to have a pistol to engage people under 100 feet. And I made sure that the people that brought sniper rifles knew what 100 feet was. And I said, "How far is that?" And they're saying, "Oh, that's like 150 feet. I'm like, no. That's like 75 feet. I said, "The 100 feet is from here to this spot." And they're like, "Oh." And I would watch them during the day, you know, if I was playing or reffing or both. And, you know, I'd have to remind them, I'm like, "You're under 100 feet where you're shooting. You have to move back." Okay, or the guy come up on top of you and you shot him, you have to pull the pistol or you can't use the sniper rifle anymore for the day. I got people trained. And now we have 2 snipers that are on the team that have pistols all the time, or some kind of well, the one guy has a MP7 he pulls out as a sniper, but both have a weapon to pull out at 100 feet, and they're always good at distances, okay, which is great. So that's how that rule got out there. And all the little instances of rules occurred over the years that, okay, we got to have this, so we got to make this rule. Oh, no, we got to have this rule. One of the rules, rate of fire. I didn't have a rate of fire on the field. Everybody's shooting full auto, and I'm like, you know, as long as they're not over 400, that's fine. Well, one guy had a double sector gear M4, and he was using mid caps, and he would unload that mid cap in like 3 seconds on somebody. And one of the guys got really pissed because he just got peppered, you know, by this guy. And he says, "You got to slow these guys down. They're shooting too fast." Do a rate of fire on him. You know, he's shooting like 38 rounds per second. So I made a decision that 25 rounds per second, and it pissed a lot of people off because everybody was doing high-speed builds and coming out to my field because they could shoot full auto. The problem was they couldn't do it anywhere else, so that they were thinking, "Oh, this is great, I'll do it at Keeper's Field." And then I got the 25 rounds per second limit, and a lot of people came and they're like, "Give me a rate of fire." And but 27 can't. You got to be semi all day. They could still use the weapon, but they couldn't do full auto. They could only use semi. And the one guy, he trying to get around it, he says, "Oh, I have 3-round burst on here." And I said, "Let me see the rifle." I said, "Full mag?" He said, "Yes." So I take I take my finger and I go, "Oh, as fast as I could shoot," because he had a real fast speed trigger on the 3-round burst. I said, "Look, 27 rounds per second." "Oh yeah, but I wouldn't do that." I said, "But the gun shoots that way, so a 3-round burst. Nah, you got to shoot semi only for the day." Pissed him off. Guy came with a binary trigger. You know, he comes up and I said, "Give me a shot," and he'd shoot and let go, and it shot twice. And I'm like, I didn't know what was going on. I thought maybe just screwed up and hit shot twice. So they boom, 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 boom. I said, "No, can't use a binary trigger," because I said, "You're getting around the semi-fire rule." And I said, "If you feather the trigger, it'll be faster than 25 rounds a second." Well, that pissed him off because he specifically built that for using it in CQB, which a lot of the places don't allow it either. So I said, I don't know where these guys think that some of this stuff they were doing was going to be allowed anywhere else. And I started blocking it, and they got pissed off. But certain dumb rules too, like all buildings have a roof on them. Because all my buildings have no roofs on them. Some have windows, some have doors. Now all of them are going to have doors. All of them are going to have windows. So you can throw through a window. You can open a door and throw it in, but you can't throw over the top. Always assume there's a roof on there. And on the two structures that we have that you go up on the second floor, you can't shoot up through the floor into the guy's nuts. Because we actually had a couple of shots where the guy shot 3 or 4 times and hit him several times in the nuts, and I said he was not happy about that. So that was the rule. You can't shoot up through the floor. I didn't figure I had to make that rule, but you had to make it once an issue occurs. And the next rule was grenades. I allowed any grenades, okay? And I didn't really have a problem with any of them until the one guy had a Thunder B, okay? That's the one CO2 that explodes. It's about 130 decibels. And he threw it overhand and hit a guy with it. Now, I guess it would be a little different if he threw it underhand and hit him. It would still hurt. But, I mean, he threw overhand, which gave it a little bit extra snot. So I had to come up with a rule that said, okay, grenades underhand. You can't, and that was another guy that was throwing them over the roof. I said, all grenades have to be underhand. So one guy said, well, how do I get it to the second floor? I said, go to the building, touch the building, go out as far as you can, and underhand it up to the top of the building. He got the guy. It didn't hurt him either. It landed next to him. And even if it would hit him, it's so soft of a throw so he can get it up into the spot he wants to put it. It was fine. So all grenades are, I'm allowing. CO2, the Bang 22, the new ones, Extreme, AI tornadoes, anything that expels gas, even spring grenades I'm allowing, blank firing grenades, which a couple of people have. TRMR uses the little primers. The Bang 22 uses the ram set. But some of the BFGs, like the VTG, Versatile Training Grenade, uses like 9mm, 38, or 12 gauge blanks. Are really loud. And I said, well, long as you don't throw it right at somebody or throw it like in their face and have it go off, I said, let's do it. So now the one guy, he's only using 38 blanks, 38 shorts, which are loud, but not as loud as a Thunder B would be. So I had a guy come up with a tag-in round, and he shot it once at a wall of a building. And my buildings at that time were about maybe 8 years old. And, they're starting to wear out. And he shot it at this one spot in the building, and it went right through the wall. And I said, the wall's weak. I said, but I really don't like these. I said, the whole idea behind these is you shoot them near someone and they go off. I said, but the chances for somebody in this close quarter to get hit with one, I really don't like them. So I banned them. Guy come up with a master mic, or one of them, more 40 mics, that's what they're called, 40 mics, not the master mic, because that's lesser. He come up with a 40 mic. He bought 4 of them, and he had, on his gear with a pistol grenade launcher. And I saw it on YouTube, and he come up there, and I said, nope, can't use those here. Oh, I'll be careful with it. I said, you're above the FPS limit, and it shoots so many BBs in such a concentrated area, everybody gets hurt with them. I said, I'll tell you what, I will let you use it today if you let me shoot you 25 feet away. I said, because that's the minimum range that it says for that. And he's like, oh, okay. So to be fair, I got a 25-foot tape. I had him hold it. I backed up. And I said, there's 25 feet. And everybody's looking at it. And I stood back behind it. The edge of the grenade is at 25 feet. And I said, are you ready? And he's facing away from me. He said, yes. And I aimed center mass and let one fly. And he's, oh, fuck. And I said, think about that. You shooting 4 of those at people on the field. I said, there's a couple people, don't want them on the field. I said, if I have 1 or 2 people that complain about them on the field, that's it, they're gone. I don't want them on there to start, and now I got 2 people say they don't want them. I said, do you want to be shot by that? He said, well, no. I said, well, no one else does too. Can't use them. So that was the end of 40 mics. there's been a lot of little instances of changes that I've done on the field rules over the years to just like facilitate negating problems. Okay. Uh, One of we shoot each other. We don't do bang bang or anything like that, but we do a surrender or die. If you come up behind somebody, put your pistol in their back or your rifle and say, "Hey, surrender or die," they can turn right around and try and shoot you. You can shoot them. That's the whole thing about it. We don't worry about shooting each other. If you have someone dead to rights and you're like 2-3 feet away and you don't want to try to get close to them, put two in his backpack. My squad leader, he puts two in your foot. You feel them all the time. Okay, I put two in his ass all the time when I see him. I come up behind him and I go back, shoot him twice in the butt. He's gonna feel it. Okay, sometimes you shoot somebody in the backpack, they might not feel that, but if you shoot them twice in the ass or twice in the foot, they're gonna feel that. So that's a rule. Another rule we come up with. As the buildings deteriorated, before I switched 90% of them out, there was murder holes, like small little things that you could just barely get your barrel through and shoot. And I said, nope, you got to be able to put both fists through the hole. I said, without touching, to be able to shoot through it. I said, if you can't get both your fists through easy, I said, you can't shoot through it. I said, because if it's that big that your fist can fit through it, I said, then somebody can shoot back at you through that hole. I said, it makes it fair. But since then, we've changed a lot. We put up a lot of new structures. So that rule is there, but like we don't have any buildings that are falling apart that bad that have murder holes in them like that. So another thing that we did, we have a rule about smoking on the field. I didn't think I had to do this until we had originally like 3 or 4 members on a team that were smokers. Now we don't, but still the rules in place that if you bring a butt, you take a butt with you. There's no smoking on the field itself, smoking in the staging area, but don't throw the butts on the floor or don't throw the butts in the garbage can. All right? Because I don't want a smoldering butt in a garbage can that could catch on fire. I said, you bring a cigarette, police the butt, put the the filter in your pocket. And everybody's been doing that. That came. And now we don't have to worry about it. And a change up to that rule was also vaping. I don't allow people to vape under the tent or in the building, okay, like in the staging area, because you're blowing all that vape out and there's somebody else over there. They don't want to smell that. So if you want to vape, stand out in an open area and vape. Don't come underneath the tent and vape and blow all that vapor inside. Somebody else might not like it. I don't want to do it, smell it, because I got bad lungs to start with. So it was a rule that don't vape in an enclosed area, tents or inside the building. So it was done just for that reason itself. And here's one I didn't think I had to do: be respectful of other people's gear and return stuff you borrowed. I didn't think I had to make that rule, but there was a guy who walked over, grabbed a gun, picked it up, started fucking around with it, and broke something. And I'm like, the guy's like horrified that owned it. The guy just picked it up and started screwing around with it. I said, ask the player if you can look at it. And I said, if he picks it up then breaks it, you knew he was going to pick it up, so you're not shocked if something breaks on the damn thing. And borrowing stuff. You don't know how many times somebody will come up to me and say, hey, Don, oh, my battery's dead. You got a battery I can use? And I'm like, okay. And I lent this guy 2 batteries, and he left. And I texted him, and I said, you left with my 2 batteries. And he said, turning around now. And he was already like 15, 20 minutes down the road. He turned around, come back, and brought him back. Because I think he didn't want to get me pissed off at him. But anyway, so many things like that happen, that I gave somebody something or somebody else gave something to somebody, and they just leave it on the table and left. And I'm like, hey, where's the stuff that he borrowed? Oh, it's sitting on the table. You return it to the person you borrowed it from. You borrow a battery off somebody, a mag, whatever. Bring it back to them, not just leave it somewhere and hope they find it. For a while, I was like, I don't lend nothing. You come to the field, you don't have a battery, you don't have goggles, you don't have this, you don't have that. Too bad for you, can't play for today. I'm not renting equipment. Now, I had a pair of goggles, and I said to the guy, give me $10. He said, what do you mean? I said, this is so if you walk off with them, I got $10. You're going to get your $10 back when you give me the goggles back. Well, that didn't go over too good. So I just don't lend anything anymore. Like, to my teammates that I trust, that I've known for 10, 12 years, I don't mind loaning a battery out. I don't mind loading a mag out. I've even loaned a pistol out and a shotgun out to people. That's not a problem if I know them. But somebody brand new comes to the field and like, oh, I don't have goggles. It sucks to be you. Oh, I don't have a battery for my gun. Sucks to be you. Talk to the guy that you came with. Have him give you a battery. See, and that was another rule that we had to come up with. You bring a guest. I'm not supposed to be supplying safety equipment and the replica or whatever they're going to be using for the day. That is not my purview. You're the member or the person inviting him. You have to be responsible that he has eye protection and that he has some kind of replica to use for the day. If he doesn't, that's on you. I'm not going to supply stuff to your guest. That was another rule we had to come up with. A lot of these rules just come out of necessity of things that happened. And another rule that I didn't think I had to do was use bio BBs. Back in 2010, early 2011, I asked the guys to start switching over to bio, and everybody was complaining, oh, they shattered, they do this and that. I said, well, it's looking like snow around here on the ground in the middle of summer. And these guys were dumping bags of BBs on the ground, and there's BBs all over the place. And I said, let's do bio BBs. You don't want to bring bio BBs? And the one guy that said this to me, I almost kicked him out. He said, oh, well, I could take a bottle of that says bio BBs and fill it with regular BBs. And I said, all that is disrespecting me. You're trying to pull one over on me, so you're disrespecting my wishes for the field. I made him feel really bad. Like everybody's like, oh, what a dick. So another thing that I didn't think I had to do, which I did, was no paintball figure or trigger spam. One guy come out there and he had a big speedball trigger and he like this, and I said, oh, we shoot replicas here. We don't play paintball. And he was pissed that he couldn't do his on a 3 because it's not allowed. So the 2 times I caught him on the field, I said to him, this is the second time I'm telling you not to do that. I said, next time you're going to go down, pack your shit and go. I said, it's up to you. What do you want to do? So just shoot the gun normally. I said, you have a fast trigger. You don't have to spam it. I said, just pull with the one finger. He's no longer on the team, so I really don't have to worry about that anymore. But that is a rule that I had to enforce several times with people when they come on the field and they're like, hey, no trigger spam, no trigger spam. The last 2 I'm going to talk about were brought up by members and because of a situation. The first one, no real steel, knives, or weapons on the field. This guy came with a full K-bar on his kit. I'm like, no, you cannot have that, because he said, oh, I ain't going to stab anybody with it. I said, you pull it out and you're showing people, you slip forward, you stab somebody. I said, that's a bad thing. I don't want it on the field. So he had to take it off his gear and he left it in his car. Now we have several guys that have carry permits. And one guy brought it out to show people. And I said, whoa. You have a carry permit, you leave it in your vehicle. I don't want to see it out on the field. I don't want to have a guy by your car looking at it. I said, you want to go down the road and stop and show him the gun? That's fine. But on my property, all carry permits, all real steel weapons, stay in your vehicle. I don't want to see them. Okay? I didn't think I had to do that, but there was that one incident that the guy shot somebody with a real steel because he thought it was his airsoft gun. And I'm like, I don't know how you could do that, but I don't know what exactly the whole situation was. I ain't gonna worry about it. Now the second thing was something that was prompted by videos I saw and something that happened on the field, where I had a guy shove another guy because he was pissed. And I'm like, you two guys, go sit down. You're not going to play now. And I made the rule, physical confrontations will not be tolerated. You're both ejected from the field, the game, and maybe the field, depending on what I feel like. If these guys are getting into it all day and they shove each other or whatever, pack your shit, leave. I don't want you here. Whether I'll let them back or not, too, is up to my purview. But that's just a look through, and there's probably a lot more rules that have like slowly come into play. It's a 2-page full, all the way to top and bottom of rules, with another half a page just for Patriots that come on my field. That's my team, the Patriots. They have a specific rule set just for some of the stuff that they're supposed to do. So this is why the rules have come to where they've been over, like I said, it's 12 plus years that these field rules have come. They've slowly changed over the years. They've adjusted. They've changed. Some come, some have gone. Mostly they've become a little bit more and more and more and more restrictive. But I think people like that because it's a safe environment. Nobody's getting hurt on my field. Nobody's getting butthurt that they're getting overshot, or something like that. And one of the things that I am thinking about with the onset of all the fields around me now are 400 with 2.0s or 1.49 joules. And for sniper rifles, they're 2.3, which is 500 with 2.0s. I was really thinking about lowering my FPS limit. Just something I'm thinking about. Getting a lot of pushback from my team and several other members of other teams that come out. They have no problem with that. But I look at it this way. I'm reflecting the local fields in the area. And right now, all but one field in the area is 400 with 2.0s or 1.49 joules. So I'm on par with another field, but that's 2.5 hours away, so I don't normally go there. All the fields I go to are the 400 with 2.0s, so my weapons all reflect that. But having my field set to that, it's something I'm considering maybe for later on this year or even next year. So I hope you enjoyed this story. It's been a longer one than I normally do, and I've been a little bit involved in it. So take from it what you will, and as always, you guys have a good day.